77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Feisty, fearless, and fair. She's an Emmy-winning journalist from the White House to war zones, telling all sides of the story. This is the Rita Cosby Show. Breaking news.
And it's almost lunchtime in China, and that means the final meeting between President Trump and Chinese President Xi in Beijing. They are going to be meeting momentarily at Zongnanhai Garden, which is a big garden location, big, huge buildings and tiles and very ornate and elaborate setting for the final round of talks between the U.S. and China at this summit. And President Trump, before this summit started, he said, his main mission is going to be business. Of course, China's main mission is Taiwan. Obviously, both. We'll talk about Iran, too, as well. That's the key. But President Trump said, I'm coming in. If he helps with Iran, that's great. We don't necessarily need it. But if he helps, that's good. We appreciate it. But I'm going there also for business and to help economically, to bring business to the United States. And already he has some pretty big deliverables, as we call it. Here he is. This was after the meeting that took place yesterday. And he already announced that there was a major deal with jets for Boeing. Take a listen.
What does he want from the U.S.?
A lot of things. We talked about a lot of things. Too many things to discuss, but a lot of things. We had a very good meeting, but we want things from them. One thing he agreed to today is going to order 200 jets. That's a big thing, Boeing. 200 big ones. That's a lot of jobs. It's a lot. Boeing wanted 150. He got 200. He said, I think it was a commitment. I mean, sort of like a statement, but I think it was a commitment.
And everybody, who could forget this crazy ad by Zohran Mamdani, remember?
When I ran for mayor, I said I was going to tax the rich. Well, today, we're taxing the rich. I'm thrilled to announce we've secured a pied-à-terre tax, the first in New York's history. This is an annual fee on luxury properties worth more than $5 million, whose owners do not live full-time in the city. Like for this penthouse, which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million. This pied-à-terre tax is specifically designed for the richest of the rich, those who store their wealth in New York City real estate but who don't actually live here. But even so, they're able to reap the huge financial rewards of owning property in, dare I say, the greatest city in the world. And most of the time, these units are sitting empty, since again, they don't actually live here. This is a fundamentally unfair system that hurts working New Yorkers. Now, it's coming to an end. This tax will raise at least $500 million directly for the city. It'll help fund things like free childcare, cleaner streets, and safer neighborhoods. As mayor, I believe everyone has a role to play in contributing to our city, and some a little bit more than others. Happy Tax Day, New York.
Happy Tax Day. Boy, isn't that happy? And remember, he's standing there, as you heard, in front of Ken Griffin's second home, the big hedge fund guy, who now apparently is avoiding Zohran Mamdani. There's a lot of reports out there that Zohran Mamdani wants to go meet with him, maybe to smooth things over, because he realized it's not a good idea to alienate somebody who brings thousands upon thousands of jobs to New York. And now is saying, maybe I won't do those big projects after all. Maybe I'll take them elsewhere where I'm appreciated. And yet now it looks like Zohran Mamdani is trying to reach out to Ken Griffin, maybe to smooth things over. And Ken Griffin isn't available. There's reports that he maybe wants to hear some sort of apology from Zohran Mamdani after blasting him at his home. Can you imagine? And remember, he was saying it was creepy and weird and dangerous, too, because it comes as the CEO of United Healthcare, remember, was killed. Somebody was following him, the crazy Luigi Mangione. So he's like, how dare you put my home out there? How dare you do this? What an insult. Well, now that was over this $5 million second home tax that Zohran Mamdani was talking about. Now it gets crazier, you guys. Governor Kathy Hochul is considering expanding the second home tax to homes not that are $5 million, which obviously is a lot of money, but now to $1 million market value, which sounds like a lot of money, you guys. Of course, in different parts of the country, $1 million goes very far. If you're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, it goes pretty far. You can get a mega mansion there. But in New York City, you can't get a lot for $1 million. So in other words, it went from 5 million to now 1 million, and 1 million really hits a lot of middle income people in New York. I mean, that's the sad reality. You cannot get anything decent or safe in New York for less than $1 million if you want to own it. And then for these individuals, now they want to drive out not just the rich, they want to drive out, I guess, the middle class. This to me is sheer lunacy. And this is going to be socking it to, middle income individuals in New York. I mean, do you want to drive out more people out of New York, Kathy Hochul and Zohran Mamdani? Well, earlier on Katz and Cosby, we talked with Melissa DeRosa. She is the former senior aide for then New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. And this is what she had to say about Governor Kathy Hochul.
Well, first of all, I was going to say Governor Patterson, who's sitting there, may take issue. I think he may know as much or if not more about Albany than I do. But there's two things that came out of today. There is that they're lowering the pied-à-terre tax from the $5 million to $1 million threshold. And then on top of that, if you pay for your primary residence in cash and your primary residence is $1 million or more, you're going to pay an additional tax. So, first of all, Kathy Hochul belongs on the U.S. Olympic gymnastics team. The amount of flip-flopping that she has done in the last several weeks.
Yeah, maybe the beam or the bar. I'm not sure which, or floor exercises, either one. And then here's a little bit more because this is about the exodus from New York. Here's a little more from Melissa DeRosa.
The mansion tax on its own. I remember when I was buying an apartment a couple 10 years ago. It was 2016. I got married. My husband then and I were buying a place in Brooklyn Heights. And I remember when we realized we had to pay the mansion tax on top of the closing taxes, on top of the apartment. You're crushing people and you're preventing them from being able to buy something that then they can at least invest in and pass down or feel like they've got some stability in. But, Kathy Hochul, who does not have a primary, she's got no heat from the left. The lengths to which she is going to appease this socialist who should do what every other family in America has to do, which is sit around a table and figure out the way to make the dollars and cents work. You cannot spend more than you take in. And that's what they're doing. And what she's doing in bailing him out this year with the $1.5 billion plus all these taxes, plus all these fees, is she is going to ensure that we are right back in the same position, but worse next year on top of the pension amortization that she's allowing him to do. So this is just a disaster, but make no mistake, this is not just Zohran Mamdani's fault. He has a group of enablers in Albany who are allowing him to do this without making tough choices, and it's going to make it more expensive for everyone in the city of New York this year, next year, the year after, and it's going to cause more people to leave. Not just the wealthy, but the middle class and the upper middle class who are every day scrimping and saving to be able to cobble something together to buy a home, who are then going to be able to not do that because of the actions of this governor, this legislature, and this mayor.
That is heartbreaking. And they're not even keeping with their, quote, tax the rich policies. And again, $1 million property in New York is like, in some places, like $100,000 property elsewhere. I mean, sadly, that's the reality. New York is becoming almost unlivable. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Al in Yonkers on line 4. Al, your thoughts tonight?
Yeah, hi, Rita. In regards to Governor Hochul, she's going to follow Mondani's lead because, as you know, and we all know, we haven't had a Republican elected statewide since 2002 in his last term when Governor Pataki won. So we have a good candidate, Bruce Blakeman. I hope he wins. He's done a great job in Nassau County. So she's basically, Governor Hochul is just going to try to get those votes that she feels she needs in the downstate in order to get a second term or a second full term.
So do you believe it's just like you said, it's just desperate for the numbers, desperate for voters, that she's willing to do anything? And I loved sort of Melissa's analogy of a gymnast flipping and flopping and diving and twisting, because I agree sadly with her that I just think it's like whatever the wind blows, and clearly she's not driving the train with Mondani. Mondani seems to be driving the train with her. And it feels like when you hear this, it's a long time between here and November. And like you said, it's a long time since there has been a Republican governor. And there are real opportunities because the contrast couldn't almost be greater. I mean, it's sort of a Mondani associate, ally at least for sure, versus a Bruce Blakeman. So it's really night and day, the choice. But New Yorkers got to step up because there is a history of potentially having a Republican. But, the odds are against it. But you know what? It can happen if people are fed up. I can't imagine people think what we're seeing in New York is acceptable. And the other thing, Al, too, it's like, where is the rebuke of the fact that, no, he's not going to march in the Israel Day parade? No, he is not going to chastise those who are protesting at synagogues. And she's not chastising his lack of chastising. I mean, Al, there's no checks and balances, right? There's no way she's not going to keep him in check.
No, that's for sure. I mean, I think Mondani's not going to march. I mean, that is a big parade, the salute to Israel. You always have thousands amongst thousands of people to come. I'm sure he can get a pass not going this year. He probably should. I would. But I think if he doesn't go during the tenure of his 4-year term, then that would be a real problem. But he should go to that parade. I know.
I disagree. I think I agree with you that he should go. I think it's disgusting that he's not going now. I think it sends such a blatant message because he seems to show up at a lot of these other parades. So he likes a good parade when it fits him. And is there any doubt? I mean, if you look at like some of the different, things that were going on during Ramadan, it was like Ramadan 5006 event, the Ramadan 5007 event. And you look at some of the people that he's even brought over to Gracie Mansion. I mean, who was he hanging out with the night that he won? Hassan Piker. He was hanging around with Mahmoud Khalil, who's running all these protests at these colleges. So he seems to find time for those kind of people. And yet this parade, which happens every year, and it's an enormous one, and I would bet, look, he knows it would have spoken volumes if he said, I am coming. If he claims, let's just take him on his face value, Al. He claims that, when he was asked that question about, are you essentially anti-Semitic or is your rhetoric, fueling the flames of anti-Semitism in New York? And his answer was essentially, no, I just don't like Israel. Like he's trying to claim that, it's different. His belief and support of the people, as he says, are different than his views of Israel itself. Obviously, I think that's a joke, and I think that's a bunch of hogwash, his answer. But if that's the case, the event is also to support the people. He could say, he could even do his crazy word salad, Al, and say, I'm not here to support Israel because I don't believe it, but I'm here to support the great Jewish citizens who are such a vibrant part of New York, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he can't even go that far, Al. I mean, to me, it just peel the onion and the layer underneath isn't pretty. Al, go ahead.
Yeah, he seems to be a true adversary of the state of Israel. I mean, he continuously calls for the arrest of Prime Minister Netanyahu. If he comes to this country, he wants to send him back to The Hague as a war criminal. So, I mean, it does. And when he is asked repeatedly, he stands by that, and that is very troublesome.
Yeah, it is deeply, deeply troublesome. Al, thank you very much. Everybody, we're going to continue with your calls right after the break. 1-800-848-9222. Do you think it's right that Zoran Mandani says, no, I'm not going to come to the Israel Day Parade? It's been tradition. I can't remember. And in fact, the organizers are saying they can't remember when a mayor has not come. And Zoran Mandani, I guess he's too busy. Maybe doing dental flossing or something. 1-800-848-9222.
You're listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's. The Rita Cosby Show, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is The Rita Cosby Show.
And let's go to your calls, guys. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Sandra in New Jersey. Go ahead, Sandra. Your thoughts tonight.
Oh, good evening, Rita. First of all, he should be going to that Israeli parade.
You mean Mandani, right? Mandani.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, we need solidarity, we need support, and his refusing to go sends a very troubling message, especially now with what's going on. And I was thinking about him and his little charming wife. I could just see them in bed before they go to sleep at night, talking about how much they both hate the Jewish people. She, I read, reportedly curated Spotify playlists with songs that are very, very hateful to Israel. For instance, one song, it says Anna Bakra Israel, which means I hate Israel. And then there's another one that she curated, P2P, Palestine Dupri, which means F Israel. Israel is a BITCH. And then there's another one that she's involved with. It says ACAB. All cops are, I could say the word bastards, I don't know, but that's what it means. Look, I'm almost at the point where these two people need to step aside and let somebody else run the city. They're not qualified. They are doing more damage. I haven't seen one good thing yet that this man has done. Have you?
I'll tell you, I'm very troubling. He's got a nice smile, and that's what he got elected on, which is so sad. And Sandra, I saw that report about his wife, too, and it's really troubling, and it fits the trend. Remember, she also liked the tweets about October 7th and about the Hamas terrorists brutalizing and raping Israelis. She thought that was a good thing. I mean, this is just, I agree. I'm very, very troubled.
The Rita Cosby Show, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Cosby is on.
More about what Sandra was saying, this new report, and part of it is coming out in the Free Press, also in the New York Post and elsewhere, that Mayor Mondani's wife had a sort of Spotify playlist of sort of favorite songs, if you will, and these are ones that came after October 7th. Now, remember, she kind of tried to sort of apologize for liking some of these posts and some really vile comments, saying some of these things she said when she was a teenager. But remember, she's in her 20s, and some of these things, a lot of them came after October 7th. So it wasn't that long ago. She wasn't a misguided teenager. She was an adult in her 20s. And so some of these things, like on this Spotify playlist that's getting a lot of attention tonight, again, from the wife of Zohran Mamdani, where after October 7th, she's liking music that's like blasting Israel, some that are I hate Israel, some that are promoting Palestine, free Palestine, and ones that are very much sort of anti-Israeli after October 7th. And it comes after she liked some really horrific social media posts where she essentially was praising Hamas for these violent, horrible attacks that took place on October 7th. I mean, it really is shocking. And it wasn't that long ago where Zohran Mamdani was asked about his wife liking these posts. And remember, at that point, he sort of separated, saying, look, she is not a public figure. She's not part of my campaign, but she is the First Lady of New York. And listen to what I thought was a very poor excuse from the mayor.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. You should have a chance, I think, to respond to this. It's an off-topic question. I'd like to know what your reaction was to the article in the Jewish Insider that was posted about your wife's social media activity. And what I'm wondering is, you're an elected official. She is not. Is it anybody's business, and is it fair to question you about it?
My wife is the love of my life, and she's also a private person who has held no formal position on my campaign or in my city hall. I, however, was elected to represent all 8.5 million people in this city, and I believe that it's my responsibility, because of that role, to answer any questions about my thoughts and my policies and my decisions.
That was a bizarre answer. So she's not part of the camp. She is the mayor's wife. She's the First Lady of New York City. And now, again, we're hearing the word that they will not march in the Israel Day Parade, breaking longstanding tradition. And I, again, want to give a shout out to this Muslim group that says that they will march to show support for the Jewish state and for Jewish New Yorkers. And the fact that he's not marching, I actually think speaks volumes and says a lot. And it's actually, I find it very reprehensible when he says that he's there for all citizens. I just think we are sadly into a bumpy time. We're heading into summer. A lot more protests take place when the weather's nice. A lot of protesters are sort of fair weather protesters. So this is going to be a crazy period. And Mamdani has the eye of a lot of people. There are a lot of people out there tonight that are talking about Zohran Mamdani. Senator Rick Scott in Florida, where there's a big Jewish population, says that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, should be looking into Zohran Mamdani. He believes that Mamdani and maybe some of his attitude and his comments not supporting the Jewish population maybe are fueling the flames of anti-Semitism, because it's up in New York. There are major increases of anti-Semitism in New York. We've seen these cases. I mentioned the Park Synagogue, Park East Synagogue, a very famous Holocaust survivor, Arthur Schneier. And then there's the other one that took place in Brooklyn. And when you got all of these things, now the country's watching this. This isn't just a New York thing. That's why so many people are saying, wait a minute. And then the response is this lame response. And now we're finding yet another comment from his wife. It's clearly part and parcel of who they are. And it's after October 7th. So no wonder he's cheering on, it seems like, the protesters, saying that's wonderful. It's free speech. You know, what would they have done if those protesters got inside that synagogue? I always think about that. And that really scares me, what could have happened had they gotten inside. Some of the things that they've been shouting have been so downright vile and so scary. And by the way, there's words that one of the protesters is a security guard in LaGuardia. You can't make it up. A security guard in LaGuardia is one of the guys who shows up shouting all these vile, horrible, hateful things. Would you want him to be handling your security in LaGuardia? What would happen? I'm just throwing it out there. What if there was a Jewish group that was going through security or taking a separate plane? I wouldn't want him near El Al's security. That's the Jewish airline. If you see this guy, he looks like a ranting lunatic. And he's even out there. Yeah, I do security in LaGuardia. He was outed in the last sort of protest. And they're like, hey, that's so-and-so. That's that security guard from LaGuardia. He's like, yeah, I'm a security guard. What are you going to do about it? I mean, and then he shouts like every other word is like F. F word, F word, F word. F word about Jews. F word about this. You want that guy handling security? I mean, he looks like a hothead. And he clearly is an unbiased security guard. I hate to say that. If you're out there at a protest where they're pushing and shoving cops and everything else, that gives big pause for concern. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And meantime, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, is also talking about Mamdani and says he's very concerned because he's looking at trends around the country, and he's very concerned at what he says is a very troubling trend.
The way I describe it in summary is that they're little mini Mamdanis popping up all around the country, okay? And they're openly avowed socialist, Marxist ideology. This is something that we have never seen before in American history. The Tea Party reset in the Republican Party was about fiscal responsibility. This is about moving away from a constitutional republic to a communist utopian ideology. And that's a dangerous thing for the future of the country. The problem we have is the insurgent left, the far left, has all the energy and excitement and the money in the Democratic Party. This is not our father's Democratic Party anymore. They're going far, far left, and no one's there to stop it. And that's a dangerous thing.
That is a dangerous thing. And he's also referring to what he's seeing across the country and other places. You look at like Seattle. And now, as I mentioned, there's this woman who is running for New York State Senate who is essentially saying, this is why 9/11 happened. You know, no big deal. This is the explanation. And when you have capitalism, essentially you kind of create this climate. You fuel this climate. That's reprehensible. Are these people like crazy? Are they really running for a position in America? Do they understand that when you come here, you should take the oath? They're supposed to take the oath and say, hi, I am here and my allegiance is to this country. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. You just got to love this country and appreciate the values of this country. And there's a little bit of a problem that they seem to be applauding 9/11 or hanging around with people who are applauding 9/11. And with the 25th anniversary coming up, that really sends chills down my spine. Let's go to Donna in Staten Island. Go ahead, Donna, on line 5. Your thoughts tonight.
Hey, Donna, how are you? I'm just listening, and I'm like, as I'm listening,
Actually, your name's Donna, and I'm Rita, but go ahead, Donna.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was listening, and I was getting aggravated, so I was looking up, like, some of the stuff that you were talking about with the guests, and the same thing that the mayor of New York City is doing, and it's called, like, he's segregating in a way, but you can't really see it. Like, he says all New Yorkers are the same, from the Bowery to everything, but he's really segregating against the people that have money. And, like, he's saying that the Prime Minister of Israel does that, and he does it to the Palestinians, and he makes them, like, leave their houses so Jewish people can live there or whatever. But he's making people leave New York by treating the rich like, I could say
second-class citizens. What did you think, Donna, of what I was talking about earlier with now Kathy Hochul, who is considering this sort of second home tax from $5 million to $1 million. And I don't know if you heard earlier, but like on Katz and Cosby, John brought up a great point where he essentially said, look, this is no longer taxing the rich. I mean, sadly, $1 million doesn't go that far, sadly, in New York. Sounds like a lot to the rest of the country, but in New York, it really doesn't. You're now socking it to the middle class, too. I mean, this is breaking campaign promises, and this is really going to sock it. If they go after this, this will be devastating, I think. And it's a complete violation of anything that they even suggested they were going to do. And the fact that that's an enormous range. And you think there are a lot of people who have $1 million homes that sadly in New York are not that rich. So what do you say to that, Donna?
I think that he's doing the same thing that he's accusing the prime minister of doing it, but he's doing it with money, and he's segregating, and he's also segregating by not going to the parade. And I think that maybe he's doing this because he accuses the prime minister of Israel of doing it so Jewish people could live there. Maybe he wants everybody that lives in New York to make the mad exodus out so his people could come in. I don't know why he's doing it, but I know it's not right because he's separating. He's separating people, and just because you're rich or have money doesn't mean that you can't feel bad about a second class citizen. And he's doing the same exact thing. It's backwards, and no pun intended, backwards people. But he's doing it right in front of our faces, and you really have to dissect it to look at it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. You're right. He's like saying, okay, the priority is this, and if you're a Jewish citizen. Or if you have any money and contribute to New York, see ya. I mean, there was a line, Donna, I don't know if you heard this, but in the Seattle mayor was asked, what do you say to these, the ultra rich who are fleeing in droves from her city in Seattle, Washington? And her answer was, bye. I mean, it was like there was no sense of, oh, I don't want them to leave. They do so much for the community. I don't want any of that. I mean, they just have no clue how devastating that is and how much people who make a lot of money contribute to New York. And again, I bring up the $1 million deal. That's why we were talking about it tonight, because to me, that really, that is not a wealthy person's tax. That's going to really sock it to a lot of other people, and it's going to extend to a lot of everyday New Yorkers. And yet they don't seem to care. It's an election year and they just don't care. And I'm just waiting for, you would think that everyday New Yorkers are going to come out and say in droves, this is unacceptable. I mean, that's the issue, Donna. Don't you think? I mean, this goes so far and beyond. And then not go to the Israel Day parade. For goodness sakes, you got now a Muslim group, which I'm very heartened to see. This female Muslim group is actually going, which I think is beautiful. It's called the American Muslim and Multi-Faith Women's Empowerment Council. They said they are going to march because they feel really strongly about the fact of all these anti-Semitic protests and attacks on the Jewish community. So them going speaks volumes. They can do it, but yet our own New York City mayor is not interested to do it because you know why? Because his DSA base would go crazy. And I think he doesn't think it's a priority. What a sad testament that is, right, Donna?
Yeah, it's very sad because everything that he says, he stands up and believes in with Palestine rights. He's doing the same thing, but with different objects. He's doing it now. He's discriminating and segregating if you're rich or, it's just, it's very, you have to dissect it to look at it, but he's no good. I mean, I don't like him as mayor. I don't think that what he's doing is right and just. I think he's doing exactly what he says is wrong, but he's doing it in a way where he does it with a smile, and you don't know that he's doing it until it's done.
Right. And then and that's why a lot of people, by the way, Donna, and thank you so much for the call, but that's right, because when a lot of people saw him campaigning, they thought, oh, he seems like a nice person, even if he was saying really horrible things about, Jewish citizens and police and others. He kind of did it with a smile. So they were like, oh, he can't be that bad. And yet here we are. And the reality is it's Democratic Socialists of America. It's a big group. It's an election year. And you just heard some of the comments from Melissa DeRosa, who worked for Governor Cuomo. Hochul's doing gymnastics to kind of flip and flop because it is an election year and she doesn't want to alienate that massive base and the social media team and the whole deal that got Mondani elected. And she's willing to sort of throw everything there to try to make it happen. What a sad situation that is. Everybody, we're going to continue calls after the break. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. But first, support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The Office of a Mayoral President recognized Air Force veteran Sergeant Dolatina Sanders as Veteran of the Week. Now, she joined the U.S. Air Force in June of 1969 out of Hawaii. She attended basic training at Lackland Air Force Base and then went on into her service. She worked in medical administration, and during her tour at Scott Air Force Base, which is in Illinois, she was selected to accompany a baby on a medevac flight to Minot, North Dakota, where she was very successful in helping that young child. She was selected as part of a big team to serve our Vietnam returnees for their first steak dinner back to the U.S., known as the Dinner Bells. Then she also was transferred to the U.S. Air Force Academy. She worked at the hospital caring for cadets and others. So bravo to her for continuing her great service. I love to see our female veterans also honored in a big, big way. And of course, we love and appreciate them and also their families. And everybody, all it takes is just $11 a month to make a huge difference. Be sure to donate just $11 a month to the absolutely incredible Tunnel to Towers Foundation. They are the best. They support America's military and first responder heroes. Be sure to check out the great Tunnel to Towers Foundation at T2T.org. That's T2T.org. And everybody, I'll take your calls when we come back. The number is 1-800-848-9222. And we will be right back.
You're listening to The Rita Cosby Show. The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's The Rita Cosby Show.
Go to Jeff in Richmond. Go ahead, Jeff. You're here on the Rita Cosby Show.
Yeah, Rita, I am loving this. I am loving seeing the New York mayor doing all that he does. Listen here, people. Didn't we say the same thing about electing a socialist back in 2008? And people know not to ever do that again. We got to let it happen. We've got to let people see the downside of what a communist can do in this country.
Oh, that's interesting. So, Jeff, you feel like everyone has to sort of see the worst of it so they go, okay, yes, we don't want this again.
We got to suck it up. We got to make New York City, make the people. I've been in New York City before. The pride of those people. I mean, this was right after 9/11, about 2 months. They were just coming out of the search and rescue, going into search and recovery. And they hear my voice. And even though I was born in Boston, but I'd lived in Richmond for over 50 years, the thing is, they heard that I wasn't a Boston, that I wasn't a New Yorker. They just would stare at me like, are you a terror? You know, they knew that outside people weren't welcome. That's the way they felt.
So what's your point now? Now you believe it has to hit rock bottom, sadly, because then people go, okay, we can't go through this again. Is that your message?
They're going to go ahead. Those New Yorkers are going to go ahead and they're going to say, listen, my business was so good. I own this, that, and the other. Heck no, we're not paying it. We have got to do something about it. They are going to go ahead and rebel. You've got to let them get pissed off. They got pissed off about, basically, they looked at intruders with the terrorists back on 9/11. coming into their city. They didn't want intruders coming in and messing up their city. That was 25 years ago. You still got New Yorkers in there that are now in their 40s and 50s that are going to do the same damn thing. You got to let it happen.
Well, I pray that it doesn't go down further rock bottom, Jeff. That's the sad thing. But I hear your message. I think a lot of people, I hope they're having voters' remorse. I pray they voted for this. And sadly, he's delivering. Everybody, we'll be back tomorrow night. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?